And this is a story I heard long, long ago in the Appalachian Mountains when I got lost for 8 weeks. 20 years or so ago, there were 3 men walking in the forest together when they found a lamp. When they shook it, out came a genie. The genie said, "Thank you, men. I was trapped in there for 50 years. I'm so grateful for you for releasing me that I will grant you 3 wishes. Grant you all 3 wishes. Choose what you want wisely." The genie pointed to the man number 1, Marcus, and he says, "You, sir, what would you like as your first wish?" And Marcus says, "I would like to be the richest person in the world." The genie snaps his fingers, and 1 second later, Marcus's bank account is filled with billions and billions of dollars. The genie then points to man number 2, Peter, asks the same question. Peter says, "I would like to be the most handsome man in the world." The genie snaps his fingers, and Peter's face morphs into a handsome man. Even the men next to him are drooling. Then the genie points to Thomas and asks man number 3, Thomas, and asks the same question. Thomas answers, "I want my arms to be moving in circles at all times until I die." The genie gives him a strange look, but snaps his fingers, and his arms start moving. The genie points back at Marcus and says, "This is your second wish. Choose wisely." Marcus says, "I want to be the CEO of the most successful business in the world." Genie snaps his fingers, and he's the CEO of the porn company. Genie asks the question to Peter again, and Peter says, I want an amazing, kind, hot wife." The genie snaps his fingers, and appears a gorgeous lady, clinging all over Peter. Genie then sighs and looks at Thomas. "What do you want?" he says. Thomas says, "I want my head to move back and forth at all times until I die." Genie snaps his fingers. The genie sighs, annoyed, and snaps his fingers. Thomas's head moves back and forth along with his arms. Then the genie states, "This is your last wish. Choose very wisely," staring at Thomas at the last part. He points at Marcus and Marcus says, "I want the biggest mansion in the world." The genie snaps his fingers, and soon enough, he has a giant mansion. Genie then points at Peter and says, "What do you want?" Peter says, "I want a happy family." He snaps his fingers, and soon enough, 3 kids appear next to him. Genie then rolls his eyes, points at Thomas and says, "What do you want?" Thomas says, "I want to be my legs to be doing an Irish jig at all times." Genie snaps his fingers, and he's... The men go their separate ways after this and don't speak for 20 years. 20 years later, they decide to meet up at a coffee shop. Marcus arrives first, then Peter arrives. They start chatting. Peter says, "My wife is so amazing. She makes the best meals, she's so loyal, and she's so good in bed." Marcus says, "True that." Marcus then says, being rich is amazing. I get invited to all these rich people meetings, and everybody loves me." Then in comes Thomas, still moving his legs, still having his arms, just still going like this. He walks up to their table and says, "Guys, I think I made a mistake."
Awesome. Excellent.
What do you think, honey? Let's do it. Come on, we got to.